You ever work with someone so clueless, so hilariously out of touch, that you start wondering how they even got their job? Yeah, that's what I thought about Daniel, my millennial manager, when I first started my internship. From the moment I walked in, I could tell Daniel was one of those bosses. You know, the ones who take their LinkedIn profile way too seriously. His bio said something like, passionate about synergy, innovation, and leading dynamic teams to success. I knew right then we were not going to get along. It started small. Daniel would send me long emails full of corporate buzzwords, and I'd reply with a thumbs up emoji. He'd call meetings that could have been an email, so I started accidentally leaving my mic on mute and pretending my Wi-Fi was acting up. He'd try to explain basic office procedures to me like I was a toddler, and I'd hit him with, "Oh yeah, I saw a TikTok about that." The man hated me, and I lived for it. But the real chaos began when Daniel decided he was going to mentor me. One day, he pulled me into his office, which, by the way, had one of those inspirational quote posters that just said, "Hustle, you," and said, "Lena, I want to set you up for success in this company." Success? I was an intern. My biggest achievement so far was finding out the best time to hit the break room before all the good snacks got taken. But sure, Daniel, let's talk about my bright future. So, Daniel started giving me career-building tasks, which were really just his tasks that he didn't want to do. Updating spreadsheets, writing long-winded reports, taking notes in meetings where people used phrases like "let's circle back" and "low-hanging fruit." Naturally, I rebelled. If he wanted a report, I made a PowerPoint with memes. If he wanted meeting notes, I sent a bullet point summary with only the things that actually mattered. If he asked for research, I sent TikToks explaining the topic in under a minute. At one point, he asked me to summarize a document, so I sent back, "Too long, didn't read." But basically, corporate is lying to us again. I thought I was winning, outplaying the system, exposing the ridiculousness of outdated corporate culture, sticking it to the man. And then, Daniel did something I did not expect. One day, during a team meeting, the director asked Daniel for a presentation on our latest project. Daniel stood up, cleared his throat, and opened my meme-filled PowerPoint. And the wildest part? The director loved it. Finally, someone making this interesting. We need more of this fresh perspective. I sat there, watching in horror as Daniel took credit for my work. I was fuming, ready to start a workplace war. But before I could call him out, he casually turned to me and said, "Of course, Lena was the one who put this together. She's been teaching me a lot about keeping up with the times." Wait, what? Was Daniel giving me credit? Over the next few weeks, I started noticing things. Daniel stopped over-explaining things to me and actually started asking for my input. He let me run with ideas instead of shutting them down. He even gasped, started using emoji reactions in Slack. Turns out, while I was busy trying to prove that he was out of touch, Daniel was busy proving that he wasn't. And then came the biggest shock of all. On my last day, Daniel called me into his office and said, "Lena, I know you think I'm some kind of corporate dinosaur, but I've actually been learning a lot from you. I was stuck in my ways, but you showed me that there's more than one way to do things. And just so you know, that director who loved your presentation, they're the one who approved your request for a full-time role." Excuse me, what? That's right. Daniel had been advocating for me behind the scenes the entire time. I walked into that internship thinking I was taking on the system. But in the end, the real battle wasn't Gen Z versus millennials. It was just two people figuring out how to bridge the gap between the past and the future. So yeah, I took that full-time offer. And now, every time Daniel writes a ridiculously long email, I just reply with a thumbs up emoji. Because some things never change. Ever had a work rivalry that took a surprising turn? Tell me everything. I need to hear these stories.